Alright, so I know I'm a little bit late to the party when it comes to this topic, but it's been something that has personally affected me and also something that's been on my mind for a little while now. And what I'm talking about is the Sonic X Shadow Generations Collector's Edition that was done by Limited Run Games. And honestly, just talking about how poorly it's been handled. Now for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Limited Run Games ended up collaborating with Sega for Sonic X Shadow Generations to create a collector's edition of the game. At first glance, this definitely looks incredible and is a big reason on why I bought it. You not only get this amazing statue of Sonic and Shadow standing on a full-size Dreamcast, but you also get a keychain of Sonic and Shadow's shoe, a steelbook, an art of the game, little Chow figurines, as well as the official soundtrack on a disc, and also you get a little Dreamcast cover that makes it look like the game came out on the Dreamcast, which is just another cool collector's piece. And of course you get a copy of the game as well. Now this was actually a pretty steep price of $250 that they were asking for this collector's edition, which is a pretty steep price point considering you're asking fans to spend close to almost $200 more on the game. But obviously, like I said, there's amazing things that is going to be coming in this bundle. The one big downside that they made very clear is that a lot of the stuff is not going to be shipped out until July of this year. And well, here we are, we're in July, so where is it? That's the funny thing, is you now have to wait until November to get all of these things. Limited Run Games has officially delayed all of the products except the physical copies of the game that they just now started sending out. So if you got the PlayStation 5, 4, Switch, or Xbox versions of the game, they ended up just now shipping out the copies of the game. Meaning if this is the only version of Sonic X Shadow Generations that you've bought, you are just now playing the game for the first time. Keep in mind this game came out last October. Now meaning that you're playing the game 8 months later. That is unless you got the PC version, which they ended up sending out Steam codes in your email, which is a nice incentive if you did get the PC version, which is the version that I ended up getting, but there's also a problem with that I'll get into in a second. But now considering that this was supposed to be shipped and honestly delivered to my house by now, I now have to wait until November, which basically means I have waited now a full year once this officially is going to be arriving. This isn't obviously directly through Sega, it is obviously a partnership between Sega and Limited Run Games, but this was something that was heavily marketed and it was something that was a limited time buy. Now I don't know what the official number is of how many people bought this, but I can't imagine it's a bunch. And considering that they've obviously probably had this in the plans for a very long time, I think making people wait an entire year after the game's release is absolute insanity. Like by then the game's hype is pretty much dead, and honestly I've kind of forgotten about this at times. Like until I got the email that I officially was getting delayed with this order, I entirely forgot about the thing. I was super hyped when I initially bought this, as this is something that Sonic doesn't typically do in collector's editions. The only other collector's editions that I remember are the original release of Sonic Generations and then Sonic Mania. But it's just really hard to ask me to sit and wait a whole year for this thing to arrive. The biggest concern that I actually had when I initially bought this was, one, is it going to include the digital deluxe version of the game, and two, is it going to allow me to switch my address to ship it to? As when pre-orders were officially starting for this, I was actually in the process of moving and didn't know my exact address of what my new place was going to be. Thankfully, you can change the shipping address, and I was able to set it to something different later on. But let's talk about the digital deluxe version of the game. So with Sega announcing a digital deluxe edition version of Sonic X Shadow Generations, there was some incentives to buying this version. It was only $10 more, so it really wasn't that steep of an asking price if you ask me. But you got some extra things that you can see here, like the extra skill points. You ended up getting a Terrio skin, which was really cool. And the biggest thing was playing it 3 days early. Now for someone that is a super big Sonic fan and wants to play each of the new releases the second it comes out, that was a pretty big deal for me back then. Playing it 3 days early, not only as somebody that does YouTube about Sonic, but also somebody that's just a Sonic fan, I really didn't want to wait those 3 days to play the game. I know saying that now sounds a bit crazy considering how long the game has been out by now, but being as big of a Sonic fan as I am, I just wanted to get my hands on the game as fast as possible, and playing that game 3 days early meant a lot to me. And they didn't specifically say which version of the game is going to be sent out, whether it was the regular version of the game or the digital deluxe version of it. They also never said on whether the Terrio skin was going to be DLC later on, or if it's only ever going to be available in this digital deluxe version. Which, coming to find out, you obviously can buy the extra content pack later on, but either way, we didn't know. So considering this, I actually ended up sending them a support ticket asking which version of the game is going to be sent out to PC players, and if it's going to be the Digital Deluxe Edition, if I'm going to get it 3 days early. I was then told by them that it is not the Digital Deluxe version of the game, so I will not get any of the incentives, nor the Terrio skin, or getting the game 3 days early. So now, this basically meant that I had to completely wait 3 days to play the game until I got this code, and it didn't even say a specific time of when I was going to get that code on release day. Coming to find out, it was pretty quickly. It was, I believe, sometime in the afternoon of that day, and I actually ended up giving this code away because I ended up buying an entirely different copy on Steam of Sonic X Shadow Generations because I didn't want to wait the 3 days. So this now made me buy the game twice, meaning that I have now spent $300 worth of Sonic X Shadow Generations content. Now, I don't want to sound entitled or anything like that. I obviously am very grateful that I had the opportunity to buy the collector's edition and another copy of the game, and hell, even give away a copy of the game. But I don't understand why they couldn't have just done a digital deluxe version for the PC version. I'll pay the $10 extra if that's what you want, because why does it matter if it's going to be the standard or the digital deluxe? Because at the end of the day, you're not sending me a physical copy, you're sending me a code for Steam. It could have just easily been a thing if you wanted the digital deluxe version of the game, you just spend $10 more and they'll send you the code earlier. I would have been okay not playing it the exact minute it came out, instead a few hours later, but 3 days was a big ask for me as a Sonic fan. So then to come and find out that they are doing it once again for the newest released Sonic game in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, where again, this is $250. Again, another really big price point for a Sonic game. If this is a mainline 3D Sonic game, like Sonic Frontiers 2 if that comes out, I can kind of get that because there's going to be a lot of hype based around it, but to do this for every single release since the Sonic X Shadow Generations one is kind of crazy, but I get it. I mean, look at the statue, the Sonic and Shadow driving in their cars through this big ring. Looks really cool, and honestly, if I can get my hands on it later on for a little bit better of a price, I wouldn't mind buying it from somebody. And the things that you do get are really cool. The trading cards of each of the racers. The King Boom Boo keychain is actually really cool. I really like that. The stick-on chrome car emblem, and many other things that you obviously get within this version. I will also say that I do really like that they decided to give you the pre-order version of the Werehog in this. As in the Sonic X Shadow Generations one, they didn't give you the Sonic Adventure skin in that. So I'm glad that they decided to somewhat fix that. But once again, you have to look at the estimated ship date of March 24th to March 31st of 2026, meaning that you're gonna have to wait another 6 months to be able to get any of the stuff that's in here for the console version, but it looks like they'll send out a code for the PC version, which is nice. Either way, if this is going to be a common trend of basically what they did with the last one, I would expect to wait probably a year to get this. And that was the biggest reason I didn't order this. I 100% love all of the stuff that's inside of the collector's edition, and all of it's really cool. Sonic has always been my personal favorite video game franchise, and I'm willing to go all out for any Sonic product. I have some of the first 4 figures that cost over $500. I bought the Sonic X Shadow Generations Collector's Edition. I very much am willing to spend the money for the characters that I love so much. There's not really any other franchise that I would really do that for. And seeing it handled so poorly for Sonic just really sucks to see. I think it would be different if it's a month later, a couple weeks later, even if that, but expecting people to wait that long, and especially if you're buying the console version of the game, which I think majority of the people that are going to buy a lot of this stuff are, expecting them to wait until March to play this game, who even knows if the game is going to be super active by then? I have a bunch of high hopes for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and I think it will do really well, but it's also really possible that the player activity could be almost dead by then. I think that there are a bunch of different companies, if not Sega themselves, that could do a collector's edition that looks just as good. I'm not here to knock any of the products of Limited Run, but I can't say that I'm not disappointed. I'm really disappointed in just how long it takes for them to get a lot of this stuff out, and having to wait an entire year to get my products. And honestly, I hope that kind of Sega drops Limited Run. I hope that they decide to go in a different route or partner up with a different team, or why does Limited Run have to be bought specifically through them? Why can't they be a company where it's partnered with Sega and they're making all the products for it, but you're still buying it at like your typical game store, Best Buy, GameStop, Target, or simply online on like Sega's website or something like that, and allowing them to kind of track more of the shipping? It just kind of seems like they're partnered with Sega, but they kind of handle everything from there. I don't doubt that the products are going to look great. I'm sure that they'll be a really good quality, as I know that people have said that they end up coming out really well. I just don't like the way that they go about anything. There has to be a better way to do this. There has to be a better communication between them. There just has to be a better way to get these products done faster. I just don't see an idea where Sonic, one of the biggest gaming franchises and characters ever, just basically just can't have a statue that's done until a year later. If this is some indie game that isn't super popular and there isn't many ordered, I get it. It obviously probably isn't a top priority for them, but if they're gonna get a partnership as big as Sega and as big as Sonic the Hedgehog, I think that this should be something they should be pretty on top of. It should be something that should come out fairly fast. It shouldn't be a year later. And give us the digital deluxe versions of the game where we can play the game early. That was another big thing with the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds on why I didn't buy it. You get 3 days early access for the game if you buy the digital deluxe version of the game, as well as the season passes. So you're gonna expect me to spend more money on the season passes as well as not being able to play the game early? It just didn't make any sense for me. Listen, I know that I've ranted quite a bit about it, and I think you get the point. But honestly, if anybody from Limited Run is listening to this, just do better. I don't doubt that your products are amazing. I don't doubt that everything's gonna come out amazing. But there's no reason that we need to be waiting this long. And if it's seriously something that just can't be done, I honestly just kind of hope that Sega moves on from that. After my experience with Sonic X Shadow Generations Collector's Edition, I really don't have any intentions or plans to really ever buy any other products from them, unless it's like on eBay or some other seller that they're selling the statue separately. And that's the last thing I'll say. Before I end the video off and kind of be done with this is, why not just sell the statue as a separate thing by itself? I'll send you $150 if it's a discounted price from the collector's edition if I can just buy the statue. I honestly don't really care too much about the other things. Yeah, the King Boom Boo keychain and everything else that you get with it is cool. It's not something that I necessarily really need. Like the trading cards, like I don't really need that. I'm gonna be honest, like I'm gonna look at it once and probably put it on a shelf and never look at it again. The statue, however, would be placed somewhere that I would keep really safe and also would be able to display on top of a shelf or something like that. And don't include the game within that package, because then I can go out and buy the digital deluxe edition of the game and buy your product. That I'm okay with waiting, say, 6 months for. You're charging me $250, including a game that I'm not going to be able to play early, or if I did a console version of the game, I'm not going to be able to play till 6 months later. So by then, I might not even be hyped for the game, or people might not be playing the game anymore, or my friends might not be playing the game anymore. It just needs to be handled a lot better. I think that there is a huge potential if Limited Run decided to change a bunch of things. I just don't see them changing it. And I hope that they really take into consideration some of the things that I've said, but they're probably not going to listen to me. I'm sure if a bunch of people complained about it, they would maybe consider it. I just think Sega would find a lot more success in a collector's edition than if it wasn't directly through their website or Limited Run games. But let me know what you guys think. Am I overreacting? I know I can be a bit dramatic sometimes with some of this stuff, but again, it's something I'm really passionate about and something that affected me personally, as I personally was a consumer of the Sonic X Shadow Generations Collector's Edition. And let me know if you've bought any of these Collector's Editions. Again, it's a steep price point, or would you ever even consider buying any of these products? I would be interested to know how many people have considered buying this. But with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!